Hi, I'm Jim and welcome to the Tyler's Tools video channel. As most of you know, we're going to launch a new product that's going to be used for the installation of stone and mainly porcelain. It's our ABC FUGA-PAVE system. So what I wanted to talk about, well really to go back to basics. It's about understanding the sand and the various components and how they work within this system. Apart from the mortar mix that you're going to use within the system, it's very important that you get the right kind of sand. And there are so many variables within the sand industry, I thought it'd be important to show you the different types. There's many more than this, but these are two typical types of sand. So here you've got the red builder's sand. It's extremely fine and in a mortar situation wouldn't be very permeable. This one here is the grit sand, or otherwise known as sharp sand, readily available throughout the country. It will be different colours depending on where you come from, but this is a product that is classed as from 5mm to 0 dust.
Okay.
When using our modified mortar, it's important that you use the grit sand. And when you buy this from the merchant, it will always be damp. Almost always be damp. So what we wanted to do is to show you a simple experiment just to prove that you need to be using the sand as a 6:1 ratio by volume, not weight.
So, just to clarify there, Jim, the 6:1 ratio assumes that the sand is dry if you're doing it all by weight. But as we know on site, the chances are
it's always wet.
It's wet, yeah. So, to get over that, it's important that you use the volume of sand to the weight of the powder.
Exactly.
Yeah. So here we've started to use the sharp sand or grit sand, and you'll see on the scale measurement there it's 12.8 kilograms, which would be 12.5 kilograms of sand in the bucket. So Jim's just about to add some more water. Yep. You lift that up, I'll zero it. Okay. So you can see the measurement now is 14.15 kilograms. So we've added 1.35 kilograms of water. And the level is exactly the same. So wet sand and dry sand occupy the same amount of space. That's why it's important to measure the sand by volume. The reason we've chosen 12.5 kilograms is the mix that we have for our hybrid cement mortar mix is it's one bag of 12.5 kilograms to 75 kilograms of sand. So that would be 6 of these 12.5 kilogram buckets. So here we've got sharp sand and we have builder sand, and what we're proving here is that both of them occupy the same volume for the weight. So the builder sand that we put in, you'll recollect, was dry when we put it in and we added water to it. It didn't change the volume whatsoever. And the one on the left hand side is sharp sand or grit sand, which occupies the same volume. So we've measured the volume of each, so they're both 12.5 kilograms when they were dry, and the volume of each is 7 litres. So we've come into the classroom or the conference room, and we've been sort of writing some stuff up in the board which helps illustrate where we're coming from with regard to the question of sand.
Mm-hmm. So there are many different types of sand, as we now know.
Yeah, there's builder sand,
There's grit sand.
and grit sand's also called sharp sand.
Yeah. There's clean sand.
Clean sand, washed sand,
Yeah.
recycled sand, yeah, silver sand,
Kiln dried sand.
kiln dried sand, plaster
It
sand.
goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So anyway, the two types that we've tested are the sharp or grit sand and the builder's sand. Agreed?
Agreed. Yep.
Okay.
So these have been tested in the laboratory with regard to the quality of the fix, and both of them passed the rigorous testing that we did.
The permeability is the key,
Permeability a key, absolutely.
obviously. So we want the water to be free draining to conform with the regulation.
Yeah. So which is the best for free draining then, Jim?
Well, I would say personally the grit or the sharp sand, because it's a bigger grain. The grit sand is 5 mil to 0, and obviously this is the one that we preferred in the workshop. So it's either the grit sand or the sharp sand.
Yeah. So which are both the same. They're both two names for the same sand.
Yeah.
Now we've spoken to a good number of professional landscapers. A number of these are award winners, got great reputations. And whilst both of these sands are fine, and it's up to you which ones you want to use, we would recommend the sharp or grit sand. There are some landscapers that would like to mix it, so they buy in builder sand and sharp, I believe, grit sand, and mix them together. But generally speaking, the consensus seemed to be on the sharp or grit sand at 5 to 0, so 5 millimeters down to dust in effect.
And that's the one that worked best for us
Yeah,
doing our actual live installation the other day.
yeah, that really did a really good job, didn't it?
Absolutely.
But the important thing is that it's washed, clean, and not recycled sand. A lot of sands, for example, can be sourced from the seabed, and of course, as we all know, there's a lot of salt in the seawater. So it's important that the sand is washed and cleaned, otherwise efflorescence could result on the surface of the slabs. So to avoid that, clean washed sand is important.
Or quarried sand is another term that
Quarried
the guys
sand.
use.
River sand is another one.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. Another sand.
So loads of sand, go figure.
Okay.
Anyway, so we then thought, well, what the scientists do in the laboratory when they're recommending the mix, and for the FUGA-PAVE part A, we're looking at 6-to-1 mix for the hybrid cement to sand. So 6 parts sand to 1 part hybrid cement. But when we talk about 6 parts sand, what's happened in the laboratory is they've done it by weight.
Exactly.
Now, as we all know, when sand's delivered to site, it's invariably wet. So wet sand weighs more than dry sand, but as our earlier video showed, it occupies the same volume. So if you just went with bucket loads, then the chances are that you'd be making the mix a lot richer than you should do. That is, you're making it more cement to sand if you're using wet sand and just using it by bucket load. So what we've done is experimented, and we've come to some obvious conclusions. Wet sand is heavier than dry sand, that's obvious, but it occupies the same volume. Therefore, it's important that we use volume as the measurement in our 6-to-1. So the mix is 1 part hybrid cement to 6 parts sand by weight. And we've calculated that 12.5 kilograms of dry sand equals 7 litres by volume. And that 7 litres is the same for builder sand as it is for sharp and bleak grit sand. So if you go by 7 litres, 6 times 7 litres, 42 litres in total for your 12.5 kilograms of hybrid cement. So 1 bag of the hybrid cement is 72 litres, or 6 buckets marked to 7 litres. So that's what we would recommendation. That's our recommendation, our strongest recommendation. Mark a bucket, a 3-gallon bucket, to the 7-litre mark, and then use 6 of those to 1 bag of the hybrid cement. And it doesn't matter whether your sand's wet or dry, you'll have the mix absolutely spot on. The other thing we would recommend is when you're mixing it, put in half the sand, then your bucket of hybrid cement, then the other half of the sand, and let it mix through dry before you then add the water. So make sure it's got a good mix before you do that. Our preference is probably for a force mixer, one of these.
Does work okay with the bell mixer?
But it does work okay with the bell
Yeah.
mixer, and that's what most people have. But if I was going out buying the stuff and I was setting up today, I'd probably go with a force mixer.
Exactly.
It's easier to use, you get a better mix.
And it's easy to clean. At the end
Easy to
of the
clean
day.
as well. Yeah. So that's our treatise on sand. Go figure. So sharp or grit sand, 5 to 0, washed, cleaned, not recycled, 7 litres bucket, 6 of those, 1 bag of hybrid cement is the summary.
Perfect.
Do you agree with that, Jim?
Absolutely right, yeah.
Cool. And happy landscaping. Yeah. Sun shining. Let's get to it.
Go to it, guys.